Florence Villeminot is back in the studio for the press review. Flo, hello. Turkey is very much in the spotlight today. Yesterday, authorities announcing plans to release some 38,000 prisoners.
That's right. Huge story in Turkey, as you can imagine. Let's take a look at the front page of Hurriyet Daily News. That's the English language version of Hurriyet, a leading newspaper in Turkey, talking about these 38,000 prisoners to be released in this new decree. So prisoners released to make space for new prisoners. That's the analysis coming out of lots of papers. If we take a look at the front page of the Wall Street Journal today, they say that Turkey is releasing these prisoners to make room for the alleged coup plotters, and there could be lots of them. That's an analysis shared by Robert Fisk from The Independent. He says that 38,000 convicts walk out of their cells to make way for the Sultan's new batch of prisoners. Now, Robert Fisk says this new batch of inmates could just essentially wait around in jail for years without a trial. Now, he's saying that based on analysis of Turkish history. For instance, in 1980, the Turkish army staged a coup, and many people ended up in prison for years without trial. There's no reason to suppose that the next lot of inmates will fare any better, according to Robert Fisk.
Well, let's stay with The Independent, and it focuses on a new report released today on the life chances of black people and minorities living in the UK, and it's not a pretty picture.
That's right. This is a really interesting report by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. It's the biggest ever review of race equality in the UK, and its findings are damning, according to The Independent. The report finds that the life chances of young ethnic minority people in the UK, these life chances have collapsed, and they're actually at their worst level for generations. For instance, this report says that black people in Britain are more than twice as likely to be murdered as white people and 3 times as likely to be prosecuted and sentenced. Minorities are also less likely to get degrees. They're more likely to be unemployed, underpaid, and suffer from daily racism. And so The Independent is focusing on this report in its editorial as well. You can see it here. It says this, the results of this report are really dispiriting. The UK has a long way to go before becoming a tolerant, multicultural society. We still have a lot of work to do.
Well, depressing figures there. Well, let's move on to a word on US politics. And Donald Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, has overhauled his campaign team.
That's right. He has a brand new campaign CEO, a new job for a man named Stephen Bannon. You might be familiar with him. He's a conservative radio host in the U.S., known for his sharp tongue. You can see a portrait of him here in Politico if you want to learn more about him. He's a big fan of Sarah Palin and Nigel Farage. That might tell you a little bit about his positions. Now, what does this campaign shakeup mean? That's what a lot of U.S. papers are trying to figure out. Well, it's a slap in the face for the campaign chairman, because that's another job for Donald Trump. This is a man named Paul Manafort. So he's been kind of one-upped by this new campaign CEO. And what Manafort had been trying to do was to rein Donald Trump in, essentially tailor him into a more traditional political figure, and analysts say that this move by Donald Trump means that he's actually determined to really kind of recapture his own campaign and make it into his own image. The Daily Beast, for instance, says that Donald Trump is determined to run the last 3 months of the elections his own way, on his own terms. So the Daily Beast says expect Donald Trump to be more non-traditional, even more aggressive. You can see their headline here that says that Paul Manafort tried to tame Donald Trump. He failed, and now things are going to get real.
Well, if things weren't already real. Anyway, it's an analysis that's shared by the Washington Post today.
That's right. I think the Washington Post sums up what a lot of people are thinking. This is a piece by E.J. Dion Jr. If you thought the old Donald Trump campaign was wild and crazy, just wait.
Wow.
And he says some things that we can expect to see in the days, months to come. Essentially, it's going to go even more towards the right, even more towards harsh anti-Clinton attacks against the political establishment in general. In other words, get ready for Trump's campaign to get even more extreme. There's a funny cartoon today in China Daily which depicts the U.S. Campaign so far. You can see the donkey there, which represents the Democrats having to deal with, of course, the whole Hillary Clinton email scandal. And then you can see the elephant, which represents the Republicans looking quite beat up. And you can see this is the Trump gun here with these boxing gloves coming out. It seems like the Trump gun has knocked a lot of people out. Perhaps Clinton could be next.
Okay, well, let's finish up with a word on the Olympics and several US swimmers potentially in hot water over a robbery that they reported at the Rio Games.
That's right. This is a really interesting story that's getting a lot of buzz right now. You can learn all about it in Sports Illustrated. It has the latest details. So Brazilian authorities stopped 2 U.S. swimmers, Gunnar Bentz and Jack Conger, from boarding a flight in Rio. They won't be able to leave the country until they testify on what happened during this alleged robbery, because these 2 swimmers, as well as other swimmers, Ryan Lochte and James Fagan, say they were robbed at gunpoint by fake police officers early Sunday morning. Now, the Brazilian authorities say there are discrepancies in their reports on this incident. And you can read more about it in the Daily Mail that actually got their hands on video surveillance where you can see these men returning to the village after the alleged robbery. They're laughing. They don't seem so shaken up by things. And in this video, you can see them going through the X-ray machine there, and they seem to be holding their wallets or their phones, which they said were stolen in this incident. So authorities are trying to clear up what happened, and I'll be sure to give you all the details when they come on, perhaps tomorrow in the press review.
Oh, the plot thickens, Flo. Thanks very much for that. That was Florence Villeminot with the press review.